Just a few little things. We're in the virtual space, and I know we've been using the virtual space for a wee while now, but we really want this to be experiential learning and interactive, so we really value your input. So you're very welcome to use the chat box function for any comments, questions, curiosities. It's so beautiful to see everyone's faces, so really value you having your cameras on. Just to eliminate background noise, just keep your mics on mute maybe when someone's chatting, but if there's anything you want to share, we'd really value you to come off mute. Maybe use the reactions, and you can use your hand up just to avoid us all jumping in on top of each other. And we'll have QR codes at the end, so maybe just have your phone at the ready for the end of the workshop. But we really want this to be a safe learning space for everyone. So yeah, any questions at all, by all means, go for it. Next slide, please, Lou. So before we kick off, we just want to firstly acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we stand. And today we're doing this webinar from the beautiful Dharawal land. And we'd like to pay our respect to any elders past, present or emerging, and any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander colleagues we might have in this space with us today. Next slide, please, Lou. So you've heard a little bit about us, but we want to start with a little activity to help bring us into the space today and get to know who we've got in the space as well. So we're going to do an activity called Picture Knowing Me, and this is a nice virtual interactive activity that we can do if you're facilitating in the virtual space, but we can also do face-to-face. So it's really quite simple activity of Louise is going to press spin that wheel. It will come up with a question, and the questions might be a little bit different, a little bit quirky, a little bit surprising in the nature of appreciative inquiry. And you just say your name, where you work, and answer the question. If the question doesn't land with you, you don't really connect to it, you don't want to answer it, that's okay. Just say pass and we'll go to the next question. Do that as many times as you like. And just, it's important to know that with anything within this webinar today, you're always in charge of what you share. So just share what you're comfortable with sharing. And maybe what we'll do is we'll answer the question and then throw to someone else who's on the webinar. So Lou, would you mind spin that wheel? Something I'd like help with would definitely be at the moment a cleaning fairy, someone to come and help clean my house and organise everything for me. I think it's on top of me at the moment. Thanks, Lou. I might throw over to Ali.
Okay. Spin the wheel, Lou. Oh my gosh. Oh dear, I don't even know whether I never think I've got any talents. Oh, I've got to dig deep. I must have. Oh, I can do a really good Yorkshire accent. No, I've got to have something better than that. I'll think for next time. I am going to throw to Sue Garcia because I can see her there smiling on the screen.
Thanks, Ellie. Oh, I've also got something I'd like help with. Well, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Sue Garcia, and I also work in the Nursing and Midwifery Practice and Workforce Unit. And something I would like help with, I need to paint a lot of rocks. I can't for a reason. So I need some help to paint lots of rocks, which I'm kind of enlisting my children. So it's just made me think I need to get them helping me again.
Thanks, Sue. Do you want to throw to someone?
Oh, yeah. I will throw over to Marcia.
You do, Sue. I'd introduce myself. I'm Marcia Pankhurst. I work in mental health as an improvement advisor. What makes me laugh? Oh, there's quite a few things, but I have a very unique English sense of humour, I guess. But Sue, I miss you that way. He always used to make me laugh. So being with jolly people.
Thanks, Marcia. Who would you like to throw to? You're on mute, Marcia. Sorry. I can't hear you.
That helps. I'll just throw to Andrew Lawson.
Lovely. Thanks, Marcia.
Lou, I feel really silly. I don't think I'm looking at the same thing as you. The slide that I can see is that me something I'd like help with? Or have we gone on from that?
Something about me that might surprise you?
Well, I can't see that on my screen. I'm sorry.
Oh. Are
I
you
must have done
frozen?
something wrong.
Oh.
The last one I can see is something. Oh, something. Okay, it's just come up now.
You might have a little lag, do you?
I must. Yeah.
Okay.
So, is it something about me that might surprise you?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Look, I'm an open book, so I think there's very little that is surprising about me. I'm stuck on that. Can I go again, please?
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't changed yet. You might have to read the next one out to me.
Oh, hidden talents. Do you have a hidden talent
that
you'd be happy to share?
One thing that I'm really good at is stacking the dishwasher, and I can I can show anyone how to stack a dishwasher, and I'd be pleased to try and pass that talent on. I try to pass it on to my kids, but that's a work in progress.
Lovely. Thanks, Andrew. Do you want to throw over to someone?
Sure. Dan's next on the list, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Andrew. And while that's coming up, hi everyone, I'm Dan Shaw. I work in the District Nursing Midwifery team, and I look after patient experience for the district. My ideal afternoon, there's so many options to choose from, but I love being in the sunshine with good company and having a bubbles and a nice plate of cheese and crackers and just soaking up the sun and the connection and the love. It's my ideal afternoon. So I'm going to throw over to Emily McKinlay.
Thanks, Dan.
Hello, I'm Emily. I'm the New South Wales Tally Stroke CNC based at Prince of Wales Hospital. A current focus or concern. Oh my God, there's so many things. Can I go again?
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Sure.
you. So many things. I can't focus on one.
Oh, hidden talents again.
Hidden talent. I can play the piano. So I don't know whether it's a bit of a hidden talent, but yeah, I like playing the piano.
Awesome. Thanks, Em. Who do you want to throw to?
I'll keep going down the list. Jacqueline.
Hi, yep. I'm here with a few people from my unit.
Oh, okay.
Small
things that annoy me.
Small things that annoy me. So many things. People who start a task and don't finish the task. Small things that annoy me. People who don't indicate properly on the road. I could go on. Girls, anything? Small things that annoy you?
When people don't say thank you for crossing the road.
There you go. When people don't say thank you for crossing the road.
Okay. So who have we got there? So you're
So there's myself, and then I've got 2 of the nurses from a ward, Amy Powell and
Amy.
Felicity, and then also our educator, Kim.
Oh, lovely. Welcome.
Thank you.
So who did 2 of you share the things that annoy you?
Yes.
The people. Okay. So do you want to spin again, Lou, and we'll just throw over to. So who hasn't answered something?
Felicity and Kim. So there's spinning.
Okay. All right. Cool. What makes me laugh? Who wants to answer this one? Felicity?
I can't see that.
Oh, what makes you laugh?
Oh, what makes me laugh? Oh, TV shows? I don't know.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks. And go again, Lou. And we'll go to Kim. So Kim hasn't answered?
No, not yet.
Okay. Something about me that might surprise you, or something about you that might surprise us.
Oh, I don't know. You know what might surprise everybody who's ever met me? That I'm actually an introvert.
Ah, there you go.
Right.
Thanks, Kim. Kim, who do you want to throw to? Can you see the participant list?
How do I look at it?
Do you want to throw to Lou? Louise hasn't gone.
Yes, I'll throw to you, Lou.
Very much. All right, let's see what happens here. Oh, current focus or concern. For me, a current focus right now is deciding where I will go when I take time off at Christmas. Originally, the plan was Dubai, but that's a little tricky due to flight costs and things like that. So a current focus for me is planning my next trip and what that will look like and where it will be. And I am going to throw to Susie Murray.
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks, Lou. Oh, hello, I'm Susie Murray. I'm the one and also in the nursing and midwifery practice workforce unit. Nice to see you all, lovely familiar faces. Oh, something I'd like to help with. I'd like help of somebody to drag me to the gym a few more times a week than I go. And the reason I need help, I think it's because I do like to go with, I don't like going on my own. Not an excuse. So please help me, somebody. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Suze. Do you want to throw to someone?
I will throw to, who've we got? Sally Peters. We can read it out for her.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Hi, my name's Sally Peters. I also work in the district nursing and midwifery team. My role is I'm a leadership development facilitator, so I work on the safety and quality essentials pathway, and I get to work with Susie on the effective leadership program, amongst other things. So read it out for me, girls.
Words others might use to describe me.
Oh, that's a trap, isn't it? I would say I'm quite positive. I'm quite loud, and I would say probably curious. That's me.
Awesome. Thanks, Sal.
You may have to throw to someone for me because I can't see who it is.
Okay. How about we throw to Chantel?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sal.
Hello. I would say passive aggressiveness is my thing that really just gets me. But that's probably it.
Okay, thanks, Chantel. And you work in the Sutherland.
Yes, sorry,
education.
I
That's
came
all
in late. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Yes, I work in the Sutherland Education Department down here. I've been here since November, so I'm still learning and I'm just part-time, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Chantel. Do you want to throw to someone?
I don't know who's been yet. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I think there was Liz. Is Liz still there? Maybe she's gone. Tammy?
Hi, I came in late too, so I'm not sure.
That's all right, Tammy. Can you see the screen?
I can, yeah.
Okay, so just there's going to be a little question prompt that comes up that if you feel comfortable to answer what makes me laugh, great. If you want to pass, you can go to another question. So just say where you work. I mean, obviously we know you, but not everyone does.
So my name's Tammy Ellis. I'm a midwife at the Royal Hospital for Women in MGP. So what makes me laugh? What makes me laugh? Funny people. My husband makes me laugh. He's very funny. Little kids make me laugh. You know, 2-year-olds, they're very funny. What else? Well, lots of things make me laugh, but I can't think offhand what else makes me laugh. Yeah, I think that's about it at the moment.
Thanks, Tammy. Do you want me to throw over because you don't know who's gone?
Great. I can't see and I don't know who's been. Thank you.
How about Wendy?
Hi guys, I coordinate the cardiac rehab program at Sutherland, and what makes me laugh? If I need a good laugh, I watch some cartoons on the internet, and my favourite is Beach Daz Bro.
Interesting. Haven't heard of that one.
Oh, okay.
Thanks,
It's a Kiwi thing. It's all right.
Okay. Thanks, Wendy. And I think we've got Joanne. Who are you? The last person who's to go?
Laura. There's Laura.
Laura.
Hello.
Oh, Laura, I didn't see you on my list. Sorry. Hi. We'll go with Joanne.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Laura. I thought that was Joanne who came on.
No, it is. It's Joanne's there.
Oh, it is. Sorry.
Yep.
Something about me that might surprise you.
Despite to what other people might think, I'm actually shy when I first meet a person, and then when I tend to warm up, then I open up and become my true self. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And Laura, lucky last Laura.
Hi everyone, my name's Laura. I also work in the workforce capabilities and practice unit with everyone, and I also work upstairs in ICU at Sutherland. Significant date. Oh, the hard one. Go again, Jules. I'm not that special to have a significant date in my life. Oh, perfect. My ideal afternoon in the ocean with the sun shining. That was an easy one straight away.
Thanks, Laura. Now, is that everyone? Have I missed anyone? Okay. So I'm just wondering what you noticed. I'd love to hear what you noticed or liked about that activity.
That was unique.
Sorry?
That was unique and a good icebreaker.
Yeah. And when you say unique, what do you mean? What was unique about it?
Oh, it's my first time to come across this as an icebreaker, and being done in an online environment, I think is really good. So yeah, well done.
Awesome. Thank you. I can't take credit. This is the work come from the work of Professor Belinda Dewar from My Home Life Scotland. But yeah. Em, were you going to say something?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say it was really funny and fun. It was, yeah, nice. Everyone was sort of smiling, so it's nice.
Thanks, Em.
I was just going to say the same too, Jules. I noticed that I felt happy, and I think everybody else was smiling and very happy too.
You know what I noticed about it that I thought was really lovely when people talked about sort of what made them laugh. There was quite a few responses around people. You know, partners, kids, people that are fun, jolly people, that kind of stuff. I thought that was really nice, just to show that, you know, relationships and people really help to bring out that laughter in us.
I think what I noticed, and I'm quite a novice in the virtual learning space, in the virtual connection space. So I think this was, for me, like a really practical and non-threatening kind of way to begin to engage. And I noticed like a connection with everyone, even though we're online, even though I can't even see any faces, I feel really connected to the group. So I loved it.
Thanks, Sal. And really the purpose of us using this activity was twofold. One was to have something to bring us into the space, because we've all been working on things before we've gotten here, and often our minds will be elsewhere, but it's a lovely way of just getting to know people a little bit more, and a way of just building a little bit of connection. And I definitely noticed the same thing. Pretty much everything people shared, apart from the Yorkshire accent, I had that connection to, and really related to. Maybe not the Yorkie accent. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Lou. Does anyone else want to share anything before we move on to the next slide?
It's Susie, I just put in the group that was just a way really engaging and connecting as a group. And even Sally couldn't hear it, but we could see it, Sally, you know, people's responses, everyone's smiling, and the smile and the laughter you got from other people sharing. So as we know, that is your happy chemicals at play, which is wonderful. Yeah, and I have to go soon. I'm very sorry. I've got absolute FOMO, but I've got another clash. But I wanted to come on and yeah, experience 30 minutes. So thank you. See you all.
Thanks, Suze.
Thanks, Suze.
We might hand over to Ali now, Lou, if you want to go to the next slide. Thanks.
Okay, so hello everybody. So some faces that we've seen before in our first webinar that was a month ago, and some new faces here. So welcome and welcome back. So just kind of in a nutshell, what is appreciative inquiry? And I would say to you, I would say go out and do some more reading so that you can really find out what appreciative inquiry is all about and how it relates to you and your context. But like it says up there on the screen, it's more than warm, fuzzy group hugs. So it is about looking for the positives, but it's not about not recognizing that there are negatives as well, but it's just about not dwelling on the negatives and not sitting in that space, but for looking for what's working well, and so that we can do more of that. And so like the webinar says today, what we focus on grows and expands. So the more that we look for the positives, the more that we'll see them. And it's a bit like a muscle, you know, you go to the gym and you do your weights and you grow that muscle. So we have to, the more that we focus on, the more that we'll see this. So it's about the connections that we have with each other. And like we just did that icebreaker and use that tool then of Belinda Dewars, which is an appreciative inquiry tool. Like you were saying, it just helps with that connection that we all have. We're all humans in this space. We're not robots. So it's about how we all work together in these human connections. And it's also a lot about language and skilled conversations, about really kind of getting to know one another and to be curious, but then also to be courageous, to ask questions when we really think that we might even know the answer, but to keep digging deep and a bit deeper, and then really listening as well. So it's about relationship building too. Next slide, please, Lou. Appreciative inquiry comes from David Cooper Ryder back in the 1980s. And we've done some work in Southeast Sydney with Belinda Dewar, and she comes from the UK, from Scotland. So we're using a lot of her tools here. So she adapted David Cooper Ryder's original model to make the language more meaningful to health practitioners. And so what you've got up here on the screen is the principles of appreciative inquiry. So these are the underpinnings of AI. And I'll just let you have a little look and read those. But really, it's like what I said before, it's all about the language that we use and how that connects us with people, and this relationship building and these questions, these curious questions that are an action in themselves, because we're looking for the positives. We're looking to the positives and the possibilities and kind of unlock these things that might be hidden to us ourselves, but hidden to other people as well, until we start using these questions and building these relationships. And there's a big thing around working with people and not on people. So next slide, please, Lou. So in our first webinar last month, we had a little look at this framework, the Caring Conversations framework, and we looked a little bit deeper into a couple of the C's there. But this really is the how we do appreciative inquiry. So this comes from Belinda Dewar as well, and these are, like I said, these questions and these caring conversations that you can use to connect with people, to be courageous, to celebrate, to consider other people's perspectives. And like I said before, being really curious to try and get to know people. So it is about us coming together emotionally, because we're all emotional human beings, like I said, but then also connecting as well and digging deep and seeing things from other people's perspectives. So they're the 7 C's there. That's the how of appreciative inquiry. So the Census Framework. So that's what's up on the screen there, the Census Framework. This came from Mike Nolan back in 2006 and was used with Belinda Dewar and Louise there and a few other people that were in the ESME project, the ESME program, which looked at the experience of midwives and midwifery students. And through this research and through evidence, what it showed was that these are 6 senses, and if these 6 senses can be met, then that could really allow for people to really flourish in the workplace. And these senses are different to everybody else, to everybody. We've all got a different way that we might get a sense of security, or a different way that we might get a sense of belonging, or a sense of purpose, or all of those senses that are up there, these 6 senses. So it's about trying to find out what it actually is and what it means to other people. So by using these questions and building these connections, we can really dig deep and see what matters to people and what these values are, so that we can all flourish in the workplace, and then also so that it's a greater and rich care environment for the consumers and the patients and whoever it might be. So Belinda Dewar has done a lot of work in, and Mike Nolan, in aged care and making those places a richer environment. So that's the Census Framework. So what we're going to do for this webinar today, we're just going to have a deeper dive into one of those senses, and we're going to have a little look at a sense of achievement. So if you can pull that one up, Lou, on the screen. So you've got there a sense of achievement. So like I said, a sense of achievement can look completely different to one person than it can to another. So I'd just like you to have a little think about what gives you a sense of achievement at work. What is it that you need? What is it that it looks like? What is it that it feels like for you to have a sense of achievement at work? And so some of the things on the screen there says things like you may get a sense of achievement to feel positive about your ability and your skills, and that can make a contribution. Or that you feel safe and engaged to give other people feedback, to notice feedback, or to receive feedback. And those things can make you feel like you've got a sense of achievement, that you're all moving together, moving forwards, looking for these positive possibilities and really improving and moving forwards. So it's got a little scale here on the bottom. So with 5 being the best. I'd like you to have a think about where you sit with your sense of achievement, and where you sit with what number you're at, and what it is that you might need to get you further up the scale. So for me, having a sense of achievement, I think, I mean, what gives me a sense of achievement is, I think when I when I hear feedback from others. And when I say hear feedback, it's not always just hearing it. I think it's about noticing it and looking for it. And that helps me, I suppose, if I've done something like I've stepped outside my comfort zone and I don't know how something's going to land with other people or whatever, just to hear that feedback, however small it might be, but something that's meaningful, that helps me on my journey to move forward, to grow and develop. I think that is really helpful for me and gives me a sense of achievement. And I think I'm probably sitting around maybe a 4, and to get me up to a 5 is maybe if I'm not getting much feedback or I'm not noticing it or seeing it, is maybe I can ask for people for some feedback and something that's meaningful for me to move me forwards. So Jules, I might refer to you, and maybe you can share what gives you a sense of achievement and where you're sitting with that.
Yeah, thanks, Al. I think what gives me a sense of achievement is when I'm engaged in work that feels meaningful to me, and when I've been working on something and I can see that work come to life, and when I feel that it's made a difference in some way, shape or form, and particularly when I hear, you know, for example, if it's delivering a workshop, it's maybe receiving feedback about what that's made possible for someone. If it's made some form of connection or change for that person, that gives me a real sense of achievement. Where I'm at the moment, I would score myself a 4, and I think what would get me to a 5, I think if I, by the end of November, I'll hopefully be a bit more on top of my workload, which means that, because what also gives me a sense of achievement is when I know I've given my all. So when I feel like I can really give my work the focus that I'd like it to have, which I feel like I'll be able to do by the end of November. Lou, did you want to share what gives you a sense of achievement? And also we invite you to put anything in the chat box as well if you'd like to share.
Sure. What gives me a sense of achievement? For me, what matters to me a lot in my role is that I enable others and I enable people to sort of reach and see their own potential. So I guess what gives me a sense of achievement, similar to what's on the slide, is around sort of feeling good about my contribution and feeling good that I'm contributing to the team and to people's development, and having the skills to do that. And this role really sits with me in that space as sort of leading midwives in that mentorship and their journey and mentoring others. So I'm probably sitting about a 4 with that sense of achievement and feeling that I'm be able to contribute. What would take me to a 5, I think, is I have a love of learning. So I think more development opportunities for myself. So seeking out some more opportunities to be stretched, so that then I can start to then share that and incorporate that back into my role, again, to enable others. So as I said, sitting at a 4 and just looking for those opportunities to feel stretched to take me up to a 5. I am going to share with Marcia.
Thanks, Louise. I think I'm along very similar lines, actually. It was like a bit of an echo of what I was about to say. I think it shifts with time. And I think I'm thinking of my younger self. I probably felt that I needed to achieve as an individual. And I think it shifts when you shift as well, and you have to develop new skills, and sometimes it can preset back to that as well. Even now, if you're feeling way out of your comfort zone, you're like, what do I need? But I mean, in essence, I get a sense of achievement when I can see others grow in their confidence and their skills and their development. And that gives me a big buzz. That's what I'm here for. That's my role as well. Enabling others. What I find it harder to assess my own level of achievement. I think it really fluctuates a lot. Sometimes I feel depends, I guess, and this might be reflecting on where we often value ourselves with achievement. We often only evaluate ourselves of achievement when we've got some big thing that's been acknowledged. but we should probably be reflecting on a regular basis the journey to get there. And I think the way we're set up as well in the organisation or whatever, that we do only get that acknowledgement when we've delivered something substantial, and we forget about the small stuff, and acknowledging the small achievements in others and maybe the smaller achievements for ourselves, because every step builds a pathway to getting there. Yeah, so I don't know. I go full range. What would help me improve that? Probably stop, think, reflect more often, and value the smaller stuff, because it's just as important, the ripples, as the waves.
Thanks, Marcia. And we've got a few things in the chat box here. Sue has said when she sees others feeling valued and benefiting from what we work together on, and also, so what would take you from a 3 to a 5 would be some more time to collaborate. Is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Sue. And Laura, reflecting on challenging moments and acknowledging the achievement of overcoming or failing and learning or growing from those challenges. And Laura, I'm just curious, where would you score your sense of achievement at the moment?
I probably am sitting between a 3 and a 4.
3 and a 4?
Get me to a 5 or maybe seeking out a little bit more feedback as well. Like I often internalize lots of that stuff, so collaborating and getting that from other people.
Thanks, Laura.
Would anybody else like to share?
Can I share an achievement? And I really agree with what was just said before about the fluctuating, and I think it really does depend. But I got off a phone call with a patient, and I feel like patient feedback is really drives me and my sense of achievement. And I heard from a 93-year-old gentleman who would actually been able to give treatment for stroke care in a centre that previously didn't have access to that. And he's now back at home with his border collie, living independently. And to me, that just, really helps me feel like the work that we're doing is achieving things, because it's helping him and hearing back from that. So I'm sitting at a 5 at the moment after that phone call.
Fantastic, I love it.
I was about to say, I actually miss that direct patient care and that direct feedback that you get. I guess I do that through learners, but it's gold, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, and often so honest, which is great, isn't it? It really helps you to kind of move forward, and yeah, and it gives you that sense of achievement, like you said, Emily. Yeah, when you know that you're doing something and it's really making a difference, and yeah, and listening to his story.
Yeah, and because I'm really mindful that some people don't have that direct contact, especially the role I'm in, it's in a virtual space. So I actually emailed everyone de-identified and just gave that feedback, and so then I could pass it on so they could all hear it. And I got lots of lovely responses back as well, because I think we need to hear, even if we're not actually interacting with the patient, but the impact that we all have in the organisation and in health. We need to hear that. That's why we're all in health.
Yeah. Great. Lou, have you got anything that you want to add?
I just wanted to add, it's really lovely hearing sort of the small snippets that we've heard, and just to sort of reiterate that this is a bit of a taster of how you might use this. But I really loved that what matters to people really comes through around feedback. Hearing what they do well gives them a sense of achievement, but notching that up is around maybe asking for it. But also a big theme that was coming out was what gives people a sense of achievement is seeing others grow, and when others do well, and I guess my own sort of love of learning and wanting to feel stretched, I think that all kind of came through, and I really, really loved the sharing.
And I think sorry.
Oh, it's just Sue. I was just going to comment. Also, I really loved, I think it might have been you, Ali, that said about looking for feedback or seeking it, you know, like sometimes because we forget to do that and can get, well, I know I will myself, I get a bit bogged down in that negative rhetoric and, you know, that imposter stuff that we do. And
yeah, the inner critic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I just loved hearing that, because I think sometimes it's up to us to find it as well, you know, to seek that feedback out, which, you know, maybe sometimes when we're critical of ourselves, we may not do that. So it was, yeah, nice to hear that too.
Jules, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think what's nice about doing that is just, if you think of the essence of appreciative inquiry, is understanding what people value and what matters to them by asking those questions of your colleagues, the people that you work with, and understanding what gives them that sense of achievement and what they value. Then when you know that someone really appreciates and values feedback or whatever it is that they value, then you can do more of that more of the time. So it's just that example of how the appreciative inquiry principles kind of weave into that. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of reiterate on that.
And this whole, I mean, what the title of our webinar as well, what we focus on grows and expands. So if we focus on the things that matter to us, and we can, you know, like we talked about then, how we could notch things up. So we're looking for the positives and we're looking for those possibilities, and we're saying it out loud. We can kind of make it happen and we can move things forward. So like I said before, it's not sitting in the negative. It's always looking to grow and improve and all of those things. Great. Thanks. Anybody else want to say anything before we move on? I just wondered how can anybody got any ideas about how they might use that in their work, in their context?
I was just about to say, I mean, one of the reasons why I came today is often in my role, we talk about the problems and defining the problems and looking at the problems. And it's not until we get to the solutions and testing them that it feels a bit more positive. So I came today as a reminder of how to feed in a appreciative inquiry to everything I'm doing, no matter whatever methodology. I think it wraps around everything. We often focus on our incidences and our problems and what we're not doing. 95% of the time we are doing well. What more can we do? Yeah, I think it's making way for it and reminding ourselves, you know, being in the positive can be just as powerful as being in the negative. Although our brains are wired for the negative, it's 4 times more powerful to go that way. We really need to push this up 4 more times than we already are then to counterbalance even that.
Yeah, and if what you focus on grows and expands, and you're constantly looking at those problems and the things that aren't working well, then that's more, you find more of those, and that's what you're focused on. Whereas if you're looking at the things that are working well, then you can continue to do more of that more of the time. You know, which space feels better to sit in, which space is more motivating and engaging. Just reading Lou's comments. Yeah, beautiful. We traditionally sit in that. Absolutely. Yeah. And say, yeah, this is a way of how can, shift into the space of what's possible and what matters. Thanks, Lou. Okay. So I've got this tool up called the AEIOU of appreciative observation, and appreciative noticing is a really core aspect of appreciative inquiry. And again, it's really a bit like Ali talked about, flexing the muscle, and it sometimes requires us to develop a bit more muscle around it. So really notching up your noticing, and sometimes it may start with a feeling. But we don't always articulate it. When you do notice something that may move you or create curiosity, or say it out loud. So really this is a tool that you can use to provide feedback, and it really aligns with the C of celebrate in the caring conversations framework, and really a little bit of connecting emotionally as well, because you're sharing what you value or what you've noticed from someone else. And I'm just wondering, like Emily talked about receiving feedback from a patient who had an outcome, and that's obviously moved you, Em. And I'm just wondering how you felt when you received that feedback. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, no, no. It just makes you happy, I suppose, because in health, quite often what we hear and see and get exposure to is sometimes maybe sadness, you know, pain, complexity. And so when the outcome is a positive one for me as a person, you know, that just, yeah, it makes a huge amount of difference. Not that we can't support people who are going through challenging times and have an impact, but when it does in health, when you do something that then actually improves somebody's situation, I think it's just really special. So yeah, it made me feel really good.
And what I really loved about that is you received the feedback. It made you feel really good and happy, and then you shared that on to others, spreading those ripples, which was really lovely as well. I wonder if anyone has received, perhaps someone shared feedback with them where they've received feedback that's either moved them or how that felt for them to receive that nice feedback.
I don't have a specific example, but I'm just thinking around, like, tapping into what you just said around, like, what does it feel like when we hear people share actions, experiences, interactions, outcomes, whatever it may be with us, when people share what has moved them or what they're still wondering about, it really makes me feel valued, and that that noticing makes you feel like you're part of something. And when people do share with me, or I do hear things that people have noticed, it reminds me to do the same. And just with regards to using this in this space, I've really noticed that the interaction from people and the sharing has been really open. And that's moved me, because often in a virtual space, and before we come on into the space, we wonder how people are going to interact and all of that stuff. So it's really, like, I guess, moved me in the space of, I feel like we're all pretty connected and that everyone's been sharing really openly. So thank you.
Thanks, Lou. I love this tool I try and have this as a visual prompt. I've got it on the notice board around the corner to remind me. And when I see this, and this is my commitment to the group, there's a lovely, beautiful, welcoming woman, I think her name's Benita, who works on the back door at Sutherland Hospital when you enter for the screening. And she is always so bright and bubbly and will always greet you with such a happy greeting, will often compliment you on what you're wearing. That I find that interaction with her really moves me. It makes me feel happy. It puts a smile on my face. And I just walk into my workspace feeling so much lighter. And it is, I guess, like you said, Lou, I feel recognized almost and valued just from that tiny little greeting. It really shifts me. So my commitment is, I noticed that every time I walk in, I've never shared that with her. And by not sharing, really, how does she know that that even makes a difference? So now I'm thinking about it, that's going to be my commitment next time I see her. Yeah, that will be my area of focus. Did anyone want to share anything or have any comments around that tool?
I just wanted to share just really what Lou was saying as well, that we're actually experiencing appreciative inquiry here and using the tools, and yeah, like you say, I do feel like, you know, some of us, we don't know each other, you know, we all come together in this space, and just by actually using these tools, you do feel so much more connected. Does everybody feel like that? Everybody feels a little bit lighter, or feel a little bit more that everything's a little bit more possible because we're a bit more connected. Yeah, so it's great.
Thanks, Al. Does anybody have any questions? We're coming to the end of the webinar. Any curiosities about what we've talked about in the webinar today? Anything anyone would like to share, you're welcome to use the chat box as well.
I just wanted to ask a question because I love Belinda's work. She makes you think about what lens you're looking through all the time and opening up, you know, the way you think. I mean, I guess the eye is really to have that scan of your environment all the time for any positivity in any shape or form, and really explore it, because what comes in front of you is, you know, as I said, we tend to grab on to what isn't there or what doesn't work or what people, you know, aren't giving you or what the environment is. You don't know what I mean? And I think that's particularly relevant in COVID, where people have felt more isolated and we hadn't had the feedback loops and we haven't felt connected and blah-de-blah. So I guess the eye for me is a scan. I try and make that a daily habit, perhaps, to scan for positivity. Yeah.
Oh, I like that commitment. Thanks,
I'd
Mar.
just like to say too, it's really nice when you see the tools and that you can, the way that you can use them out in your own space for, you know, especially to model. I think you started with that slide that says it's not just all about, you know, I don't know what it said, but it was fluff, and I'm saying
warm,
glitter.
fluffy hugs.
Warm, fluffy hugs. Okay, yeah, glitter just came to my mind. But I think it's a really nice way to also be able to say there's evidence behind this. This, you know, look at this, look what it does, look how it's made us feel, and then we can go out and also, yeah, use this in our own spaces. So thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Sue.
I just have, it's a more of a discussion point, I guess. I'd be interested to hear if anybody has used this. I come from a very quality and improvement specific focus, and I think Mars, you do too, and I know Jules and Ali, you have that focus. So I'm just wondering if anybody has any experience of using appreciative inquiry and appreciative inquiry tools towards improvement work. Has anyone done anything like that, or is interested or a bit curious about how you might go about it?
There was a session I actually, it was on leading change, leading improvement, and Danielle actually came in and did a session and introduced the C's. And I thought that was really good. I think there is an opportunity to wrap this somewhere in those between the facilitation pieces, etc. Definitely, that's why I'm really curious as well, Sally, how we can do more of this, because this is the access to endorphins. Really, it ups your endorphins, doesn't it, and gives you power and agency.
And even thinking about the emotional touch points and things like that, I've certainly used that to collect data in the past. So, you know, things like that we probably don't think about that we've used in the past. I'm wondering, you know, Sal, if there's things that even you've used and it is, you know, a way of using this, you know, approach as well, like the touch points.
Yeah, I think the reason it really interests me as well is because I come from, the methodology I use literally starts with, what's the problem you're trying to solve? And I think that and that's improvement science, if anybody's ever used that. And I think that when we've just had this discussion and we've just talked for the last hour about how what's
focus on grows and expands.
I know, how many times a day do we say this? But exactly. So if we're focusing on what's the problem we want to solve, I bet we're going to find more problems. So I'm really interested. You've really made me kind of reconsider, how do we kind of approach improvement work, by maybe even just adjusting that tiny little question to think, maybe what are the things that are going really well and what do we need to enhance even more, like that sort of thing. So I think it's just something we may, like, there's so many different tools from appreciative inquiry that we can use, but it really, this is kind of like re-excited me in that space to reconsider how we explore quality improvement as well. So thank you, girls.
Thanks for sharing that, Sal. And I will say, Belinda,
to what Sal said there, sorry. Is that okay?
Yeah, go.
I just wanted to also say what you said there, Sal, is really important, because it's where it takes us to the energy. So when we look at where, you know, what's working well, what we're proud of, it kind of energizes us to move forward. And I think as well, like within health, we do often have things that we do have to fix, or we do have policies that we do have to implement, and things come from that space. But I would just wonder if we could really look at what we do well and use that in that space of moving other things forward. Yeah, it's just something to think about, isn't it?
Really asking that question, well, why is it working well? And those little bits and pieces out about why it's working well, and translating that across to whatever you want to. Like, there is transferability to whatever you want to.
Well, you know, sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to say, Belinda, Professor Belinda Dewar actually has a podcast called On the QI Guy, and she actually really talks about appreciative inquiry in quality improvement, and even in the use of RCAs and all that kind of thing. So what I'll do is I'll put a link in the chat box that you can access after the webinar, just for, because this is just a little taste tester, but if you want a little bit of deeper exploration into that, I'll put that in the chat box later, a link to it. It's a really interesting listen, actually. I'm just conscious of time. Sorry, Mars. Lou, do you want to go to the next slide? Sorry. And you can share. We're so grateful to have everybody in this space today, and would really value your feedback, just because this is the second of our webinar series. We've got the next one on the 25th of November on the next Appreciative Inquiry Principles of We Are the Experts of Our Own Experience. We'd really value you to be there, but we also really value your feedback so that we can know what worked well today. But if there's anything we can notch up for the next webinar, your feedback's really valuable for that. So just, and then don't go yet. We'll give you a minute just to fill that out, but then on the next slide, we'll give you some links to additional appreciative inquiry resources. And Mars, did you have something you want to jump in and share while people do that?
Oh, look, I could probably open another conversation.
Might have to save that for another one.
But just remember, the model for improvement asks, what are we trying to accomplish? And then for some reason, we've shaped it to be what is the problem. So maybe we look again at that question, Sal and everyone.
Love that. Give me a thumbs up when you're good, and we'll just give you the links. Sal, you're please don't fill out the survey while you're driving. You're excused from completing it.
I'm sitting outside daycare at the moment, so I'm safe.
Great.
But I'm loving this. I was about to jump off early, but obviously that didn't happen because I'm really intrigued by this conversation.
Oh, that's good.
I'll get there when I get there.
Awesome. Oh, I've got a thumbs up. Do you want to go to the next slide, Lou, maybe? So just if you want additional resources, so the My Home Life Scotland facilitation tools, that's where the interactive activity we used today came from, and also the paper version of that if you want to use it face-to-face, as well as a wealth of appreciative inquiry resources and tools. And also there's a link to our nursing midwifery practice and workforce unit internet site resources as well. And I just want to thank everyone so much. Thanks, Ali and Louise. But thank you so much for coming on our webinar today. And it's all of your sharing that makes it such a beautiful space, and all of, yeah, it just adds a lot of richness rather than just hearing us talk really and waffle on. So just want to thank everyone for their contribution today. And we really hope to see you on for webinar 3 on the 25th of November.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
wonderful
girls.
afternoon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye.
Not usually.
I mean, as in, when I went in there, I went in Babs.
Oh yeah. You were hard to hear.
We could just hear you. You had to kind of, but I thought, you know, sometimes people have their head. Maybe some. Oh, good.